The Philippine Army is evaluating Japan's Type 16 maneuver combat vehicle during exercise Balikatan 41-2026 as Manila reassesses how to build armored forces suited for rapid deployment across the country's archipelagic terrain. Reported by Max Defense Philippines on May 9, 2026, the trials highlight growing Philippine interest in lighter direct-fire platforms that can move quickly over civilian roads, bridges, ferries, and ports, where 55 to 70-ton main battle tanks would face severe mobility restrictions. The 26-ton Type 16 combines a 105mm gun with high road speed, lower sustainment demands, and compatibility with weaker transport infrastructure, giving Philippine forces a mobile anti-armor and coastal reinforcement capability without the logistical burden of heavy tracked tanks. Japanese crews demonstrated live-fire accuracy, stabilization, and maneuver performance under tropical conditions during Balikatan, underscoring how wheeled fire support vehicles are becoming increasingly relevant for Indo-Pacific operations, focused on rapid island reinforcement, mobility, and distributed defense. On May 9, 2026, Max Defense Philippines reported that the Philippine Army initiated an operational evaluation of Japan's Type 16 Maneuver Combat Vehicle, or MCV, during exercise Balikatan 41-2026, reflecting a reassessment of armored force requirements driven by infrastructure limitations, delayed Israeli deliveries, and emphasis on rapidly deployable direct-fire systems. More specifically, Philippine Army Armor Division personnel evaluated Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force Type 16 vehicles during live-fire and maneuver activities under tropical conditions. The Philippine interest centers on a wheeled 105mm direct-fire vehicle capable of anti-armor operations and rapid inter-island deployment without heavy transport infrastructure. The 26-ton Type 16, developed for Japan's Southwestern Island Reinforcement Doctrine, combines an 8x8 chassis with lower logistical burden and wider bridge compatibility than 55 to 70-ton main battle tanks such as the Leopard 2A7, K2 Black Panther, Merkava 4, or M1A2 Abrams. Manila's parallel examination of the Type 10 tank indicates continued interest in tracked capability within lower weight limits than most Western and Northeast Asian MBTs. The Philippine operational environment differs fundamentally from continental armored warfare models because military units must redeploy across more than 7,000 islands using civilian roads, ferries, bridges, and ports with uneven engineering standards. Philippine planners increasingly view heavy tracked tanks as operationally restrictive because many provincial transport routes cannot support repeated movement by vehicles exceeding 50 tons. The Type 16's 26-ton combat weight allows compatibility with a substantially larger portion of the national transport network while reducing engineering and sustainment requirements. Japanese doctrine developed the vehicle after Tokyo shifted focus from Hokkaido toward the Ryukyu and southwestern island chains, emphasizing rapid reinforcement operations using civilian infrastructure rather than rail-supported armored concentrations. The Philippine requirement similarly prioritizes rapid reinforcement of coastal sectors, urban areas, and isolated operational zones, where deployment speed and infrastructure access outweigh heavy armor protection. Balikatan 41-2026 allowed Philippine Army Armor Division personnel to evaluate the Type 16 MCV under climatic conditions relevant to southern Philippine deployment environments, including high humidity and sustained tropical heat. Japanese crews conducted road movement, maneuver drills, and live-fire exercises, while Philippine evaluators examined stabilization performance, thermal management, suspension behavior, and crew workload. Climatic adaptation became a major focus because Type 16 production batches delivered before FY 2020 lacked integrated air conditioning systems, creating heat stress problems during Japanese deployments in Okinawa and the Ryukyu Islands. Japan introduced cooling systems beginning with FY 2020 procurement lots after identifying degradation in crew endurance, reload efficiency, and situational awareness during prolonged southern deployments. The Philippine Army considers thermal management operationally significant because crew fatigue inside armored vehicles directly affects reaction time, observation capability, and sustained combat effectiveness during tropical operations. Produced by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the Type 16 MCV is armed with a domestically developed 105mm L52 rifled cannon manufactured by Japan Steelworks and uses fire control and recoil management technologies derived from the Type 10 tank program. Measuring 8.45 meters in length, 2.98 meters in width, and 2.87 meters in height, the vehicle operates with a 4-man crew, using manual loading instead of an autoloader in order to reduce complexity, turret weight, and procurement costs. The main gun fires Type 93 APF SDST armor-piercing ammunition and Type 91 multi-purpose anti-tank rounds, already fielded by Japanese armored formations. Japanese development efforts focused on compensating for wheeled firing instability through hydropneumatic suspension, advanced stabilization systems, and recoil mitigation technology. Testing included stabilized firing during slalom movement, lateral engagement while maneuvering at speed, and firing during directional rotation. The resulting configuration delivers substantially greater direct fire capability than APC vehicles and infantry fighting vehicles, while maintaining lower weight and higher strategic mobility than tracked armored systems equipped with 120mm guns. Mobility, therefore, constitutes the Type 16's primary operational advantage. The vehicle uses a 4-cylinder, 4-stroke, water-cooled turbocharged diesel engine, producing 570 horsepower at 2100 RPM, with an 8x8 drivetrain, achieving road speeds above 100 kilometers per hour and an operational range of approximately 400 kilometers. Japanese doctrine emphasized long-distance self-deployment over highways without reliance on heavy transporters, reducing deployment timelines and logistical requirements during rapid reinforcement operations. The vehicle was also designed for compatibility with Kawasaki C2 transport aircraft, enabling rapid redeployment between island sectors. These characteristics align closely with Philippine operational requirements because military units must move across maritime theaters with limited engineering support and uneven infrastructure. Compared with tracked armored formations, wheeled systems reduce fuel demand, spare parts consumption, maintenance downtime, track replacement requirements, and road damage. Philippine procurement planning increasingly treats sustainment efficiency and infrastructure compatibility as decisive operational variables rather than secondary procurement considerations. The Type 16's survivability profile also reflects a prioritization of mobility over heavy armor protection. Frontal protection is intended against approximately 20mm to 30mm autocannon fire, while side armor resists 14.5mm heavy machine gun threats rather than modern tank ammunition. The vehicle was not intended for sustained frontal engagement against MBTs armed with 120mm or 125mm guns, because Japanese doctrine assigned it a rapid reaction and maneuver-oriented mission profile. Early production variants also lacked comprehensive mine and improvised explosive device protection because the design prioritized reduced weight and air transportability. Japan later examined optional underbody armor kits and survivability enhancements for deployments involving elevated explosive threats. Survivability, therefore, depends primarily on movement, rapid repositioning, standoff engagement, and exploitation of infrastructure inaccessible to heavier vehicles, rather than armor thickness alone. Philippine interest indicates institutional acceptance that lower protection levels may be operationally acceptable in exchange for substantially greater deployment flexibility across archipelagic terrain. The Philippine reassessment of armored procurement priorities emerged largely from delays affecting the Sabra light tank acquisition project signed in 2021. The acquisition package included 18 ASCOD II tracked light tanks, 10 Pandor II wheeled fire support vehicles, 1 armored recovery vehicle, 1 command vehicle, 2 APCs, 3 tank transporters, and 5 sniper detection systems. Deliveries experienced repeated delays extending into 2026, increasing concern regarding supplier prioritization, sustainment reliability, and long-term support predictability. Delays affecting Guarani 6x6 APC deliveries reinforced concern regarding dependence on suppliers facing competing operational demands and constrained production capacity. The Philippine Army nevertheless continues to seek tracked armored capability, explaining parallel examination of the Type 10 tank, whose combat weight remains below 50 tons and is substantially lighter than most Western and Northeast Asian MBTs. Japan's domestic procurement already absorbed most development costs for the Type 10 and Type 16, allowing Tokyo greater flexibility regarding export pricing and sustainment support arrangements. Japan's procurement trajectory for the Type 16 reflects broader structural changes within both the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force and Japan's defense industrial strategy. Procurement totaled 255 vehicles between FY 2016 and FY 2025, including 36 vehicles in FY 2016, 33 in FY 2017, 33 in FY 2020, 24 in FY 2023, and 15 in FY 2025. The vehicle-equipped rapid deployment regiments and reconnaissance combat battalions created after Tokyo shifted focus from Cold War armored concentrations in Hokkaido toward reinforcement operations across the Ryukyu and southwestern island chains. Declining annual procurement quantities after FY 2020 increased pressure to secure export orders capable of sustaining production efficiency and long-term maintenance efficiency. In 2026, Tokyo expanded implementation of the 2014 Three Principles on Transfer of Defense Equipment and Technology under the December 2022 National Security Strategy, which identified defense industrial sustainability as a strategic requirement. Within this framework, the Philippines occupies a favorable position because of expanding Japan-US-Philippines cooperation, the Reciprocal Access Agreement negotiations, and increasing Japanese participation in exercises such as Balikai. A Philippine Type 16 acquisition would therefore function not only as an armored vehicle export, but also as a practical test of Japan's transition toward a broader Indo-Pacific defense industrial supplier role.